Funicular Station, Carson,
Steven,
Zach.
Today we're reviewing the book Juggling, What It Is and How to Do It by Thom. As you guys know, Thom's a friend of ours and an incredible juggler. For those of you who don't know, Thom performed with Cirque du Soleil up until 2019. He's been working as an author and a publisher, and this is his newest book. It comes out today, if you're watching this on the first day, August 31st.
I will say Thom has inspired me in many ways. He's got multiple different styles going on. He's changed over the years, and I've liked every phase of Thom.
Yeah. And the one thing that you have to say about Thom that goes sort of without saying if you've met him, but he thinks about juggling more than almost anyone else. Maybe Jay Gilligan, who's also featured in this book, but he knows juggling on a level that's so much deeper than just a skill. I can do 7 balls. He knows exactly how 7 balls works, exactly how the trajectories work. He knows exactly how to think about it. He's basically a juggling genius. He just put out a book, I think last year, about circus history, but this book is more focused on how to juggle and also how to think about juggling in a way. So in the beginning, you're just going through the basic starting how to juggle 3 balls type stuff. And then it moves on to how to juggle with a balance, how to juggle 4, 5, 6 balls. And then at the end, there's a couple guest chapters about how to think about juggling tricks and also about how to perform, which are super great. So that's basically the structure of the book. Do you want to give your thoughts first, Steven?
I've been juggling for many years, over a decade's worth, and I still learn some new stuff out of this book just because, Thom's obviously smarter than I am. As we all know, Anthony Gatto is one of, or the greatest juggler that has lived. But I did not know that he actually was not super knowledgeable about sight swap notation. Not a diss to Anthony Gatto by any means.
But it is interesting.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which I guess just goes to show that every juggler you see has a different mindset or set of knowledge pieces. I would absolutely recommend it because I thought the beginning, half or so was super good for a beginner juggler, and the second half is more for I guess an advanced person who has not even super advanced, honestly. If you have some 3-ball tricks, 4-ball tricks, 3 clubs, the second half is more about how to think about it, like you said, and how to piece together your own performance. So obviously if you're a hobbyist juggler not as interested in performing, maybe the first half is more for you. And the second half is more for if you're interested in performing and showing people. Mm-hmm. But I could really recommend this to someone of super beginner level that wants to learn everything, or someone that's been juggling for a few years. I always enjoy looking at the sight swap diagrams, and there are plenty of those in this book.
Yeah.
It does go into great detail in sight swap notation, but it's not overwhelming. It's easy to take in.
It's got 2 sections where it talks about sight swap. One where it talks about it in a manageable way that you could understand if you don't really get juggling on a deep level. And then it comes back and gives you it again in a more deep college level class on sight swap.
The appendix at the back of the book
Yeah.
will give you all the textbook level of sight swap.
Yeah, so you have the first version that's easy to understand, and then you have the second version that's harder to understand, but will give you a super deep understanding of sight swap.
There's a sense of humor in this book. Thom made me laugh a couple times. The bit about balancing, learning how to balance a club on your face, or I guess a wooden dowel rod to start with, where he was ow, my neck hurts, Thom, why are you hurting me?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Made me chuckle.
Yeah. So what would you say overall? Buy, don't buy for a certain group? What do you think?
Buy all around.
All right, buy all around. Okay, so my thoughts on this book are basically summed up by the phrase, if you want to learn to juggle, watch a YouTube video. If you want to understand juggling, buy this book. Because if you watch a YouTube video to learn how to juggle, you're just learning how to do the trick, and you won't really understand a lot about the functionality of it, how to get better at it, the mathematics behind it, and all that is in this book. So it's really a different type of material for learning. It seems what it is and how to do it, it seems it's just going to tell you how to juggle, but really this is about understanding juggling on a deep, deep, deep level. So it is perfect for a beginner. It can teach you how to juggle 3 balls. And one of the advantages it does have for a beginner is it will teach you how to go from 3 balls higher. Whereas most tutorials on YouTube, they're going to tell you how to juggle 3 balls, but after you're done with that, you're where do I go? What do I do next? There used to be this resource online, the Library of Juggling, and it still exists, but that was somewhere people used to get like, what's the next trick? But this gives you a lot clearer and a lot more concise and a lot more like direct way to get to the next trick. Like it will be like, try these type of throws, try those type of throws, try this, instead of just being like, yeah, learn Mills Mess after you learn like over, under the arm throws or something. Like this is much more clear, and it will guide you through from becoming a juggler to becoming a professional juggler. This will take you the whole way. Almost all of us jugglers have figured out some of the things in this book by experience and talking to other jugglers, but we could have just read this book. Like there's several things in here that I've like thought for hours to get to this point, whereas I could have just started at this point if I had read it, but obviously it wasn't out.
It's nice to just hear the opinion of another juggler, like who's already done it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can remember I spent like days researching about like Brian Eno and about lateral thinking, and Jay Gilligan covers that in his chapter in like the first page, and I'm just like, oh great, I didn't have to like figure all that out on my own. I could have just read this book. But there's a lot of stuff like that in here. So like if you have the idea of going more seriously into juggling, you really need this book. Like for a beginner, you could go either way. I mean, you could watch YouTube videos. I would suggest the book and YouTube videos. But if you're an advanced juggler, you're taking juggling really seriously, you have to buy this. Like if you don't have this in your library and you're trying to become a performer or like a creative juggler making tricks, just get it. Yeah, and then my other thing that I wanted to say about this is like Thom's writing style is so deliberate, and like what he wrote isn't just like what you would be saying now, like I'm thinking on the top of my head and saying what I'm thinking, but he like clearly crafted these sentences and these pages and these chapters to be like every word of this is particularly put there and it tells you something. And that actually applies to illustrations too. Thom was telling us, and I don't know if this is like a little inside baseball, but Thom was telling us that these illustrations pretty much had to all be redone like fairly recently because there was like a very minute detail that was like slightly off about them, and in Thom's mind that's like,
oh wow,
DEFCON 5, redo every illustration, which just goes to show you like you're not going to find silly errors in this book. You're going to find depth and like thoughtfulness in every single page. So yeah, I would say if you're a beginner juggler, watch YouTube videos to learn and use this to understand. And if you're an advanced juggler, there's no reason you should not have this book. Buy it right now, jugglingbook.com.
I don't read. Yeah, I don't read. I don't think I've finished a book since like middle school without skimming. And this book is no exception. But that's not against the book. I just can't focus for long enough. But I will say this. While I was reading it, I like the way he phrases sentences, and I think it's interesting, and I really like the pictures. So you see, like, there's pictures, like, very frequently. It's not just, like, every, like, 20 pages or something.
It's, like, every page.
Yeah, like, there's, like, these little dudes with, like, eyeballs, and they just, like, are looking at the balls, and they show you where the throws go, and they show you when they're getting down and when they're, like, happy, you know? In terms of, like, the actual contents of the book, the thing that I probably took out the most was just the way that he teaches juggling, just in general. It's like, it makes me think like, oh, that's a great way of teaching that to somebody. Like if somebody actually came up to me and asked me like, how do you do this? Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's a great way of putting it.
So would you say buy, don't buy? What do you?
I mean, if you like books and you like juggling, you will more than likely like this book.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a library, I used to do this thing when I was younger where I would go to a library and just find random books, mostly by their covers or their title, and just read them. And this is the type of book where if I had read it, I probably would be a really good juggler right now. So I wish that I could like go back in time and bring this book with me.
I really like to collect books.
Oh yeah.
So I would probably buy this. Like I like to just have the shelf and be like, if I ever wanted it, it's right there. You know.
If
so
my
like,
personality changes suddenly, I'll be able to read this book. If you have no interest in juggling, don't buy this book.
Also, why are you here?
Yeah, why are you watching?
If you're not interested in juggling, why are you watching our video?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there is one more thing that I forgot to mention. Like Steven said, he had learned some stuff from this book, and I have to say, as I was reading it, there were a couple times where I would see something in the book and then do like a cheeky peek over my shoulder to make sure these guys weren't looking, because I'm like, well, I don't want them to know that I'm actually learning things. So I'm like do one of these and then like try something that I read in the book and be like, oh really? Wow, that's pretty cool. So just so you know, like even if you are like an experienced juggler, there's like stuff in here that you might pick up.
No,
and
like, I'm not ashamed to say, like, I learned, like, something simple. Like, I didn't really know the definition of an excited state side swap, but now I do.
Yeah, honestly, like, it hurts me to admit it, but I have the world record for the tallest object ever balanced, and I learned something about balancing in this book. I was reading and I was like, it was like, why does my neck hurt, Thom? Like you mentioned. And I was like, why does my neck hurt when I balance for long periods of time? And then he's like, oh, you have to bend from your back more than just your neck. And I started trying and I was like, wow, that actually works way better. So as the person who has the world record for tallest balance, I still learned something about balancing in this book. If you're a beginner juggler, buy it. If you're an advanced juggler, buy it. If you're just interested in juggling, buy it. And if you want to understand juggling, you need to read this book. Yeah, so jugglingbooks.com. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to us on YouTube.
Like our videos.
Yeah, hit the bell. Patreon.com/Funicular Juggling. If you sign up to our $3 tier, you get all our videos a couple days early. Our $7 tier, you get Minecraft and giveaways. Our $15 tier, we have these beautiful t-shirts. Yeah, we'll send them to you for free if you sign up at the $15 tier.
We are losing money on that deal.
Yeah, we're losing money, but...
Our channel is dying.
No, our channel's not dying. It's thriving. Thank you for watching.
Well put. Well put.
Lawyer up. Lawyer, my